Okay, now let me give more gravitas to what I just said. Okay. Let's look at 748 lonely prime. We've talked about this before. We talked about why it is 748. But anyway, I'm going to start from the middle of it. So it all goes back to 19. Okay. 748 lonely prime is 9127. And 748, you notice that there is something peculiar about 748. 748, its digital sum is 19. 8 plus 4 is 12, plus 7 is 19. Okay, so it's immediately right there. And then, not the index also add up to 19. Also 9127 also adds up to 19. Okay? So anyway, 748 is written in base 10 is equal to 217 is base 19, in base 19. Okay? And as you see on the right side of that equation, 21719, those 4 digits are still there. 9127 are still there, as you notice that, in the index and in the number itself. Okay. So 217's lonely Gaussian prime is 4931. 4931 happens to be the 333rd additive prime. 339 written in base 19 is equal to 1143 written in base, I'm sorry, this one of them is, this is base 10. So let me fix it right away. 1143 in base 10. 1143 is equal to 9 times 127. Okay. Furthermore, 1143rd composite happens to be 1362, and 1362 is the number of verses from the beginning of the Quran to 9127. Okay. Milan found this out a long time ago. Okay. So 4931 happens to be the 658th prime number. Again, you notice that 658 adds up to 19. 8 plus 5 is equal to 13 plus 6 is equal to 19. 658 is equal to 2 times 7 times 47. This number, 2747, the 2747th composite happens to be 3200, and Surah 3 has 200 verses. (2747) is the 2346 composite, and 2346 is the number of verses from 1/1 to 1998. Okay? Now, remember now, there are two chapters. Chapter 3 is called the Amramites. Mary was one of the Amramites. And chapter 19 is called Mary, who was one of the Amramites. And you see the similarity of the stories narrated in chapter 3 and chapter 19. Okay. 657th composite happens to be 798, and 798 is the frequency of the initials in Surah 19. Okay? So you see these relations between the number of verses in chapter 9, which is 127, that's the number of verses, and then those numbers are combining to generate the number of initials. Actually, it's the literal structure of the Quran. You see? Those are the number of Arabic letters in those chapters. In chapter 19, how many of them are supposed to be? It tells you that. It tells you how many verses chapter 3 is supposed to have. Okay? This is God's design. The number of initials in chapter 19 are related to the number of verses in chapter 3. It's related to the number of verses from 1/1 to 1998, which is 2,346. Okay? This is how the generator of the Quran works. Okay, and as I said, I'm trying to get this across. The fact that this is the generator of the Quran. Why does it jump from one type of prime numbers to other prime numbers to composites of everything? Okay. Well, I wrote a paper. In that paper, the neutrino cross-section goes as prime in their indices. The proton and proton cross-sections. Cross-section means probability of reaction of some interaction. That's what cross-section means. Okay? How probable that reaction is. That's a measure of probability of reaction. Proton and proton goes as twin primes. Why? All of a sudden everybody again becomes the ancient skeptic. Why? I don't know why. That's how God designed the universe. So this goes back to 659. We just read it. Not even a single leaf falls without his knowledge. They're all in a profound record. God knows how this number is related to these other numbers. 9127 is related to 3200. How it is related to 333. How the base numbers relates itself to prime numbers and their indices. It shouldn't be like that, but it is. That's for the one who knows the secret. That's what God says. He knows the secret. No one else knows that. And as I said, since there are no equations that are describing these prime numbers, we are in a position right now that this is actually, God is showing us a realm where the equations do not apply. There are another beautiful structure there based on prime and their indices. But those are not governed by mathematical equations somehow. That's what God wants to show us. That's why he tells us that his creation is based on the truth. Not based on equation, not based on conservation laws. That's how we think that creation and reaction is supposed to be based on conservation laws. Based on equations that are unknown to us. No, that's just a law that God inspired. And that law is not eternal. It's a law that's going to hold for certain times and then it's going to vanish. Okay? That's why God says the mountains are going to be like fluffy wool. They're going to be in motion. Okay? Because those equations would not apply anymore. Those interactions do not exist anymore. So that's who God is. Okay, so in the first rak'ah, what I said was exactly that. This is God that we are worshiping. And we have his full attention 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Without interruption. One-on-one. Every individual us and every other creation in the universe. That I said that infinity does not do justice. Okay? So think about this. When you talk to God, you are one-on-one with God alone and no one else. And you have his full attention. And so is your friend, and so is your neighbor, and so is everybody else, and everything thing that you can think and not even think about. All is creation. That's who God is. Okay? So let's keep this in mind for the next week or so, inshallah, and then I'll go ahead and finish the Juma. Allah al-Kabir.